So Planned Parenthood shutting down clinics all across the Midwest ahead of what's finally happening in America to stop the murdering of innocent children all across the board. American Life League National Director Katie Brown Zavios is joining me to talk about they're actually setting record abortion rates on how many babies they can kill in a short amount of time. Hi, Katie.
Hey, Fawn. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, are they doing this on purpose? I mean, are they just trying to, are they recruiting people to kill their babies, or how are they getting so many in?
You know, this is just kind of, I think it shows us more than anything, this is what Planned Parenthood does. They tell us all the time that Planned Parenthood, doesn't focus just on abortion. They do mammograms, they do all these other things, but this shows us what they do, but not at the same rate that they do abortions. And I think more than anything, this shows us this is their bread and butter. Abortion is their business. And even though we're seeing a record number of facilities closing, it doesn't change the fact that they are doing abortions more now than they've ever done before.
Right. But that's the argument to the left. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have found my breast cancer because of my mammogram. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have found my uterine cancer, blah, 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 blah. I get that. But you have other places you can go to get those same services, but people that's what they want to argue about. The bread and butter of Planned Parenthood is killing especially minority babies at record rates, but also babies of all color. And the bottom line is they're killing babies. That's simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of minorities, nearly 80% of Planned Parenthoods are actually set up within walking distance of low-income and minority neighborhoods. So they really make this their mission to target the vulnerable. They target women who feel like they don't have any other options. And even though, their facilities are closing, they've really increased their online presence to where now they're able to send out abortion pills to anywhere at any time for any reason. And with this increase in kind of online foot traffic we're seeing from them, between that and then their, so-called travel abortion, where they just transport women all across the nation to have abortions done, they're really expanding their footprint more than we've seen them do in the past.
So you have a STOP program with 2 Ps at the end, and that's where this was revealed, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you were seeing them actually getting on the internet and telehealth platforms to tell people how to skirt state laws.
Yes. So this is kind of a big myth that we see in the pro-life movement, especially, we've had really good progress with some pro-life restrictions and, laws that try to put safeguards in place to help women to make better choices. But unfortunately, there's really no such thing as what a lot of people call pro-life states, because groups like Planned Parenthood are able to hide behind what's called shield laws, where in more liberal states like California and New York, as long as the doctor is prescribing from that liberal state, the woman can live anywhere, and they can do a telehealth appointment with a woman in a state like Missouri or a state like Georgia that might be a little bit more conservative. And as long as the prescribing doctor is speaking to that woman from a state that has a more liberal abortion law, so like a California or like a New York, she can get those pills sent to her discreetly in the mail. And this is how they're able to kind of get around those pro-life laws and pro-life regulations.
I had a conversation with someone over the weekend, and it got a little heated because I hate abortion. I used to think it was fine when I was a kid before I had kids and didn't understand, the value of human life because kids are stupid till they're about 23. But they were talking about how these chemical abortions are so great because it doesn't really harm anybody. They can take it the day after and clean everything out and just blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you do realize in more than double-digit percentages you can make yourself sterile. And they said, well, then we'll just use IVF later on. I'm like, and now you're trying to force the government to pay for your IVF treatments or your insurance to pay for your when you're the one who made yourself sterile.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's new reports that are coming out now that say that the abortion pill, which of course, it kills a baby every single time, but for the woman, it's 20 times more dangerous than the FDA had previously said that it was. And there are so many scary and dangerous complications that can come from using the pill. And even death in some circumstances, which is just horrifying. Mm-hmm. And women aren't told they aren't told the consequences. They aren't really, in a lot of cases, especially if they get them online, they don't even have an ultrasound to confirm that it's not an ectopic pregnancy, which of course it can kill the mother if she takes it and she has an ectopic pregnancy. There's just so many. There's just such a lack of safety, and I mean, really, they call it a medical procedure. There's not an ounce of anything medical that has to do with the abortion pill. I mean, it really is just so dangerous, obviously, for the baby, but for the mom, it's so detrimental.
Well, in ectopic pregnancies, for those of you who don't know, that means the baby has decided to just latch onto the fallopian tube and starts growing there, and that'll kill you. It'll kill you.
Yeah, if it's not addressed, it'll kill you. Obviously, the baby, unfortunately, is going to die either way in that situation. But when a woman takes an abortion pill and doesn't have an ultrasound, there's no way these doctors know. I mean, if you can even call them doctors, there's no way they know. And unfortunately, we've seen really, really, really sad cases where moms pay the ultimate price because there's obviously a lack of care when a doctor is prescribing an abortion pill. But I mean, really, they're not told any of these consequences. They're not told any of the repercussions that they might face because of how dangerous these pills are. And unfortunately, we see this all the time.
Yeah, and the American Life League is the parent organization of STOP with 2 Ps. It's solely dedicated to shutting down Planned Parenthood. I love that you guys are doing this because there are so many options now. Communities stepping up, ours included, where there are pregnancy homes for single moms where they can even bring their other children and get a job skill and live and be among other people who are going through the same thing. Live there for free up to 2 years so that they can get their lives on track. This whole Republicans don't want us to have these babies, but they don't want to help us take care of them. That is the biggest lie that you could ever imagine, because there are more programs, child benefits, and places that help people learn how to be a good parent and take care of their child and get a life skill than there's ever been before, yet we're having record number of abortions. So people are just soulless people who don't care about unborn babies, apparently.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, that's what it comes down to. Our culture there really is no common value for human life anymore. I mean, the value and dignity of the preborn means nothing to anybody. I mean, not everybody, of course, but to a large majority of these people, especially the people who are having abortions, a lot of them, I'm sure, are coerced into it, and a lot of them maybe don't know the full truth of what's going on. But there's, of course, a fraction of women who just really don't care too much about the dignity of the preborn. And I think that's really where our real crisis is. Of course, abortion numbers are going up, and that's a crisis. But if we don't address the root cause of it, which is that respect for the dignity of the human person, that's really where the true crisis lies, I think.
Well, and for you young girls driving around with stickers and words on your car saying abortion is health care, not for the baby. And every time I see those, I'm tempted to rear end the car just so I can see him face to face, because it just drives me crazy. I would never do that. I'm just saying the inner me gets so angry when I see stuff like that, because it's just a non-essential advertisement of your stupidity. So there's that. But anyway, Katie, where do people learn more about the American Life League?
Yeah, absolutely. So just head over to our website. It's all.org, so all.org. And if people want to read the full report, it's on our STOP section. So in the menu bar, you can find the STOP program, and it'll take you right to that full report. But we have lots of other education and free materials for people to use on our website. So just check it out at all.org.
If there's a child in your life that you love, or if you are a child, or if you are someone thinking about having a baby, and you're worried that you can't afford to do it, you just found out you're pregnant, the help is there. Please seek it out. Katie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course, Lon. Thanks for having me back on.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.